21 everyday objects of the past that have vanished sometimes. The things we miss the most aren't the big events or places, but the tiny, ordinary objects we once used every day. A crank, a scratchy sound from a tiny speaker, things that once filled our homes, our pockets, and our routines, and then slowly, quietly disappeared. Today, we're looking back at 10 everyday objects of the past that have completely vanished. Some were practical, some were fun, but all of them were part of life. Part of how we lived day after day. So let's open the junk drawer of memory and see what we find. 1. Carbon paper long before copiers and scanners. If you needed a duplicate of a document, you used carbon paper, thin, inky sheets sandwiched between two pieces of paper. As you wrote or typed, your words were copied, one keystroke at a time. The paper smelled faintly like ink. It left smudges on your fingers, and if you made a mistake, you made it twice. Secretaries used it. Students, parents, filling out forms. It was messy, inefficient, and completely normal. Today, most people wouldn't even recognize it. But for decades, carbon paper was how you made a copy, and it felt like magic. 2. Hanging from the showerhead, or a little hook on the wall, soap and a rope, was once a classic gift and a bathroom staple. It solved a simple problem. No more dropping the soap, no more slipping in the tub. Just hang it up, lather it up, and let it dry in the air. It came in all shapes and scents, from fresh pine to musky cologne, and was especially popular as a gift for Father's Day or Christmas. Some were shaped like fish, cars, or footballs. Silly, yes, but thoughtful, too. Today, body wash and plastic bottles rule the shower, but there was something comforting about soap that hung quietly, waiting to be used. 3. Transistor radios about the size of a paperback book. The transistor radio was a constant companion, on porches, in garages, under pillows, and beside sleeping bags on summer camping trips. You'd twist the dial, the needle would slide slowly past AM stations, and there it was. A ball game, a local DJ, or the crackle of a storm alert. They weren't flashy, they didn't have Bluetooth, but they ran on a couple of AA batteries and gave you the whole world through a tiny speaker. For teenagers in the 60s and 70s, owning a transistor radio felt like freedom. Now, they've vanished, replaced by smartphones and smart speakers. But that little red or black box, it made the world feel smaller, and home feel closer. 4. Viewmaster reels. If you ever clicked through a view, you remember the joy of watching tiny 3D images come to life through that plastic toy viewer. Each reel held a story. Scenes from Disney movies, world landmarks, even animals in the wild. You'd press the side lever and click. The frame advanced, and the picture shifted. Glowing from the light behind you, it wasn't height, but to a child, it was cinema, magic, and a trip around the world, all in one hand. Today, they're collector's items, but once, every toy chest had a few dusty reels, waiting to be read. 5. Carbon copy receipt books. Whether it was a diner check, a gas station log, or a handwritten sales invoice, carbon copy receipt books were everywhere. You'd press the pen hard through the white top sheet and the thin yellow or pink copy below. Sometimes you'd get a receipt that was barely legible. Sometimes it smudged. But it was real, and it was instant. Cashiers tore them out with a flick. Waitresses stuck them on metal spikes. And for small businesses, it was how things got done. Today, it's digital this, emailed that. But there was something trustworthy about a receipt you could hold in your hand and tuck into your wallet, just in case. Could numb rabbit ear antennas. Every living room once had a TV with a pair of metal antennae sticking out of the top, affectionately known as rabbit ears. You'd twist and tilt them, trying to clear the static. Sometimes someone would have to stand just right and hold one while everyone else watched. Tin foil, a coat hanger, oh yes, whatever it took to bring in Channel 3. They were clumsy, unpredictable, and weirdly fun. Today, flat screens stream 1,000 channels with no effort, but rabbit ears made watching TV a team sport, and getting a clear picture, that was the first victory of movie night. 7 rotary phones, heavy, solid, and, oh, so satisfying. To dial a number, you'd stick your finger into a numbered hole, rotate the dial until it stopped, let it spin back, and then do it all over again, 1 digit at a time. If you messed up on the last number, you had to start from the beginning. But the rhythm of that clicking dial, the ring of that brass bell, and the curly cord stretching across the room, they all made phone calls feel intentional. You weren't distracted, you weren't scrolling, you were talking. Now, phones fit in our pocket. But that old rotary, it made every call feel like it meant something. 8 manual window cranks in cars. Before automatic buttons, every car door had a little crank handle you had to spin to roll the window up or down. You'd reach across the back seat and crank like mad to get some air, or stick your elbow out on a summer drive, spinning it halfway to just the right breeze. There was a certain satisfaction to it, a rhythm, a bit of effort, and once in a while, a window that got stuck halfway and stayed that way for months. Kids loved playing with them. Adults appreciated how they never broke. Now, everything's automatic. But that little crank, it was a piece of everyday driving joy. 9 VHS tape rewinders. If you wanted to be kind and rewind, you didn't always use the VCR itself. You used a standalone VHS rewinder, often shaped like a little car, a brick, or a box that lit up when in use. You'd pop in the tape, close the lid, press a button, and wait. It made a soft worry sound as the tape zipped backwards to the start. Video rental stores loved them. They saved wear and tear on the VCR, and made sure you could re-watch that movie or return it on time. Now, VHS is long gone, but if you ever heard that rewind sound, you can still feel it. Like flipping back the pages of a weekend well spent. 10 the click-clack of a typewriter. Before keyboards became silent and sleek, there was the manual typewriter. Each key had weight. Every letter slammed onto the page with a satisfying clack, followed by the soft ding at the end of each line, and the quick slap of the carriage return to start the next one. There were no backspaces. Every sentence was a commitment. Writers, students, and secretaries all learned the rhythm, and the finished page, slightly crooked, maybe with a smudge or two, felt like something earned. Today, we type faster, but we don't feel it the same way. The type, it turned words into moments. 11 film canisters. Back when every photo had to be developed, you'd carry your rolls of 35mm film in tiny black or grey plastic canisters, often with a poppin' lid and a faint smell of chemicals. They rolled around in drawers, glove compartments, and purses, holding memories not yet seen. You'd drop them off at the drugstore, wait a few days, and come back hoping the birthday, vacation, or family moment turned out okay. Now, we take thousands of pictures instantly, but those little canisters, they held something special, something not yet revealed. 12 metal lunch boxes with matching thermoses covered in colorful prints, cartoons, movie stars. These metal lunch boxes were as much a fashion statement as they were a place to hold PB&J. Inside, a plastic thermos with a twist-off cup lid, sometimes filled with lukewarm soup or chocolate milk. The boxes clanged, dented easily, and always came home with a little something sticky inside. But oh, were they beloved? Today, lunch boxes are soft-sided and forgettable. But the old ones, they were a badge of honor, and a little piece of your personality. 13. Emergency candles in a drawer. Nearly every home had that one drawer, often in the kitchen, where a row of stubby white candles waited for a storm or a blackout. They weren't scented or decorative, just practical. When the power went out, you'd light one, maybe two, and the whole house changed. Shadows danced. Time slowed. Everyone gathered in the same room, speaking softly, playing cards, or reading by flickering light. Today, flashlights are built into our phones. But those old candles, they made a quiet night feel sacred. 14. TV remote controls with sliding panels before touchscreens and voice controls. Remote controls were beasts. Thick plastic, chunky buttons, and often a slide panel that hid lesser-used functions. Some had volume dials instead of buttons. Others needed a two-handed grip just to reach the mute. Lose it, you were crawling under the couch for hours, but there was something satisfying about the click of each button, and the proud feeling of mastering the strange layout. Today's remotes are slim, slick, confusing in their own way, but the old ones, they were built to last, and always needed a good thump to work. 15. Letter openers on the desk. Every home office or hallway table had one. A slim, often metal letter opener, sometimes shaped like a sword or engraved with a company logo. It was used daily to slit open envelopes carefully, to avoid tearing checks or wedding invitations. Some were dull and utilitarian. Now, we barely open mail. But that little opener, it made even a bill feel like something worth unsealing. 16. Slide projectors and carousels. Before PowerPoint, memories were shared in darkened living rooms with a clicking slide projector and a carousel full of Kodachrome snapshots. The worry fan, the hum of the bulb, and the voice of someone narrating a trip to Yellowstone or a wedding from years past. The images were big, bright, and sometimes up. You passed the popcorn. You sat on the carpet. You laughed at old haircuts and swimsuits. Now it's all digital, but those projectors, they turned photo night into an event. 17. Metal gas cans in the garage, red, rusted, with a heavy spout and a plastic cap that never stayed on. The old metal gas can was a fixture in every garage, especially if Dad had a mower, a snowblower, or an old car that needed a little help starting. You could smell it before you saw it. That sharp scent of fuel and metal that clung to the air. Today's gas containers are plastic, vented and child-safe. But those old cans, they were a symbol of independence and weekend chores. 18 sponge mops with pull levers cleaning. The kitchen floor once involved a sponge mop, not with a sprayer or detachable pads, but with a metal or plastic laver that squeezed out the water by folding the sponge in half. You'd hear that squish, drag it across the floor, and rinse it in the sink or bucket. Some had replaceable heads, some didn't. It was messy, imperfect, and oddly satisfying. Today, we have sleek systems and scented sprays, but the sponge mop, it was hard-working, simple, and built to do one job well. 19. Wind-up alarm clocks with twin bells. Tick, ding, dash, ding, dash, ding, dash, ding. Those little wind-up alarm clocks with the two bells on top could wake the dead. You wound them every night, set them metal hand, and placed them beside your bed, or across the room if you were a heavy sleeper. No snooze button, no glow-in-the-dark screen, just a loud, brassy jolt into the day. They weren't forgiving, but they worked. Today's phones wake us gently, but back then, you started the day with a bang and a bleary-eyed grin. 20 crocheted toilet paper covers, sitting on the back of the toilet, often shaped like a doll with a big poofy dress, was the crocheted toilet paper cover. It didn't serve much purpose, it just made this spare row look a little fancier. Some matched the bathroom color scheme, others were gifts from Grandma or made at church craft nights. Today, we hide the extra rolls in drawers or minimalist bins. But those little covers, they were quirky, sweet, and oddly comforting. The beauty of the things we took for granted, they weren't special, they weren't expensive. They were just there, on the shelf, in the drawer, by the door. Always ready, always familiar. From the soap on a rope in the shower, to the rotary phone on the wall, to the spare roll of toilet paper dressed like a tiny crocheted doll. These objects didn't define a generation with headlines, but they did shape our days. Quietly, gently, one little task at a time. We didn't frame them, we didn't photograph them. We simply used them, wore them down, replaced them, and eventually forgot them. And now we miss them. Because the past isn't always measured in big events. Sometimes it's found in the click of a VH, the squeeze of a sponge mop, or the twist of a window crank on a warm drive home. So tell us, which one of these vanished everyday objects lives rent-free in your memory? Was it the Viewmaster, the gas can in the garage, or maybe just the soft tick of an old wind-up clock beside your bed? Let us know in the comments. And if this trip down memory lane brought a smile to your face, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again as we keep honoring the small things, the quiet, lovely pieces of the past that have slowly, gently faded into history.